Okay, so by now you're starting to understand that meditation or mindful way of living and of being has very little to do with a meditation practice per se. Now, of course, our meditation practice is the grounding force. It is the core for how we develop all of these qualities that we are going to be talking about. But ultimately, meditation is about a way of being and a way of moving through life that gives us access to more skills than if we were moving through without compassion, awareness, beginner's mind, etc. Right? So now we've moved on to the concept of practicing compassion, of beginning with self-compassion. And that's really what we're going to work on today. I'd like for you to have your notebook or your piece of paper and a pen, because as you know, when we are using our ability to change neural pathways in the brain, we can see much quicker results. And one of the fastest ways to do that, other than meditation, is to write things down, is to physically write things down. So when you are ready, we'll begin. So what I want you to think about is compassion as a daily practice, right? And that includes empathy. And how I tend to think of compassion is this idea of leaning in towards all aspects of life, right? So that doesn't mean that we share in other people's just their pleasure or just their joy or just their happiness, but also that no one is immune to pain. There are no humans alive who can escape life without pain. Pain and pleasure are both parts of life, and a compassion practice encompasses our ability to hold space for someone, including ourselves. And it means that we're not trying to fix something, that we are being present for another being, being present for ourselves. So that can be a very expansive state, and it's usually something that we want to practice. So one of the things when you have your paper, I want you to think about, and I want you to just write down are maybe some of the self-critical thoughts that show up on a daily basis, or maybe some that are showing up right now, and just writing them out, bringing them out into the light. Take a moment and let's write them out. Write out 3 self-critical thoughts that may have a lot of airtime or are having a lot of airtime right now. Now I want you to just ask yourself, is this kind and is it necessary? Those thoughts. Most of the time, they are not kind and they are not necessary. So consider allowing some of those harsh self-criticisms to be released by bringing in awareness, right? And, Oprah talks a lot about some pretty brilliant things, but one of the quotes I like to use is, she said, we can't become what we need by remaining what we are. And one of the most critical aspects of evolution, of growth, of moving past limiting beliefs are to practice self-compassion. And so that's really what we're going to spend the next few minutes on, right? And so on that same piece of paper, I'd like for you to write down, I am a human being worthy of love. Very simple, right? I am a human being worthy of love. And noticing whether you believe that or not. We are all beings worthy of love, right? And so we as a species are always interconnected to each other, and we have compassion that's already built into us. And this is something that's completely different than self-esteem, for example. Self-compassion is different than self-esteem. Self-esteem is tied to a variety of external factors. You got an award, you got a degree, you have a relationship with someone. All of those things are self-esteem. That can be up or down, up or down. In contrast, self-compassion is really a very powerful way to move through life, meaning, you know what? I've got my own back. I am a human being worthy of love. I might make mistakes. I am not perfect. And that is okay. Of this radical self-acceptance as we move through life, right? And one of the things I love, Leonard Cohen, who is a singer-songwriter, who was a singer-songwriter, said this, and he said, there is a crack in everything. So if you feel like you are not perfect, so you are unlovable, that's not really true, right? So he said, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in, right? Because we all have cracks, and that's how the light gets in. I think that's a beautiful image to conjure up. And so when we make cultivating self-compassion a practice, and it is a practice, then we can also be more open-hearted for those around us. And one of the gurus, almost like the godmother of self-compassion, is a brilliant scientist named Kristen Neff, N-E-F-F. So if you wanted to look up her work, I think she's a great resource. And what I'd like to do is actually practice one of the self-compassion exercises that Kristen Neff created. And this can be something that you can practice on a daily basis. I practice this particular way of being on a multiple times a day basis. So I think you'll also find this to be very helpful. Before we get started, I want you to consider the many, many proven scientific benefits of practicing self-compassion, because you might still want to hold on to that inner critic, right? And you might be thinking, oh, this inner critic has helped me to get this far in life, all of those things, right? So those are some thought patterns that can keep us stuck in a way. But here's what I'm going to tell you that we know for sure from having studied people who practice self-compassion, and there are three things, right? So people who practice self-compassion report a much higher life satisfaction, meaning they actually feel like their quality of lives are much, much better than when they weren't practicing self-compassion, right? So they have high quality of life practicing self-compassion. The other thing is, well, practicing self-compassion is strongly linked to happiness, contentment, to joy. And we know that those are areas of growth, right? When we are content, when we are happy, that's when we're actually moving towards a more evolved growth state. The third thing is practicing self-compassion leads to better relationships, leads to better connection to others. And so those are some of the most compelling reasons to practice self-compassion. So let's do this beautiful exercise that was created by Kristen Neff. So when you're ready, go ahead and just very, very gently close your eyes, sitting up straight if you're able, and gently closing your eyes. Let's take a couple of those deeper breaths. Letting out a deep, audible sigh. Just giving yourself permission to be here for the next few minutes. I want you to think about something that's painful right now in your life, or something that was painful in your life, a challenging, difficult situation in your life, something that's causing you a lot of stress. What is it that's causing you to worry? And when you found your situation, ask yourself the following questions. What happened? What might happen? Bringing this situation to life. And then just Gently bringing in mindful awareness by repeating these phrases as you consider this challenging situation in your life. Repeat these phrases to yourself. But first, I'd like for you to place your left palm on your hand and your right palm on your chest, both palms on the chest. I want you to say the following sentences. This is really hard. I'm really struggling. This is painful. Just gently turning towards this challenging, difficult situation. Pain is a part of life. Life has pain and pleasure. Many people are going through challenges. This is a normal part of being human. Like still with your hands over your heart. Feel the warmth of your hands. Next, saying to yourself, may I be kind to myself in this moment. Using language that works for you. I care about you. I'm here for you. Notice how your body feels. And if you'd like, you can release your hands to your lap and just resting here for a moment. Allowing yourself to be exactly as you are right now. Now just taking a few deeper breaths, returning back to the room, bringing in a sense of gratitude for yourself, for creating this space in your busy life. And as you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So this way of practicing self-compassion, especially as we're going through challenging situations of placing our hands over our heart, of having our own backs, it's part of a meditation practice because it will also extend compassion to others. And it's a daily practice. And I assure you, this is incredibly powerful from having worked with hundreds and hundreds of my students. When they begin to make self-compassion a regular part of their lives, they accomplish incredible things. And that is exactly what I wish for you as well.